On the line with us, we have Senator Blunt. He's joining us. A lot of things, as always, going on in Washington, D.C., and there is a big battle going on over the tax situation. And first, thanks for being here. And I wanted to ask you, because I know it's different when you're inside versus outside and the perspective. And I follow things more than most people, but I listen to others that get their news from Brian Williams or Jon Stewart or others like that. And there is this perception out there that right now Democrats want to cut taxes on the middle class, the payroll tax, and those awful Republicans are just stopping it. And it's frustrating because it's not, it's a very simplistic and erroneous way to look at it, but that's how it's being presented out there. How much of a challenge is that for you, and what is going on right now? Where are we with this whole debate about the extension of the payroll tax cut?
That's a very long question.
Sorry.
I could probably do an equally long answer.
That works.
It'll be okay. I think the interesting thing here is that the Democrats have figured out how to take your Social Security contribution and make it just another tax. And frankly, I think in the long term, that weakens Social Security. If Social Security ever becomes a government benefit that's some combination of a little bit that you pay in or not, and a lot of people don't pay in $1,000 to Social Security every year, so they wouldn't be paying in anything. A little bit you pay in and some money we borrow from the Chinese or somebody else and money from general revenue, I think Social Security will suffer in the long run, not only financially, because we're going to not put $150 billion or so the year we do this in Social Security, but also people begin to see it as a different kind of program. One of the reasons that Social Security and the gas tax that supports highways have always had huge support is people thought they were fair, and they funded a specific benefit where the user paid the bill for the benefit. The gasoline consumer paid the bill for maintaining highways. You put money into, so if you didn't put money into Social Security, you and your family didn't qualify for any of the benefits from Social Security. So I frankly think it's a huge mistake. I give the president political points. We didn't used to call the Social Security contribution the payroll tax. We always called it either the Social Security payment or the FICA tax. And only in the last 3 or 4 years have Democrats begun to get everybody to call this the payroll tax. So when you have this argument that, only 50% of the people pay income tax, you could say, but everybody pays taxes. They just pay the payroll tax. I think the benefit will be extended. I'm unlikely to vote to extend it. I think it's a big mistake. But the politics of it are clearly shrewdly developed by the president and Harry Reid and the majority in the Senate to make it look like that somehow taking money from the Social Security system is a good thing, and I don't think it's a good thing at all.
In the last couple of days, Susan Collins and Senator McCaskill came out with this plan of theirs, and it didn't seem to get any traction. I mean, it seemed like the two of them holding a press conference, and then it fell dead from there, and it deals with a number of different issues, including taxes, of course, which seems to be what most are talking about right now. Is it going anywhere? Has anybody even bothered to look at it? Have you had a chance to check it out? What are your thoughts on it?
I haven't looked at it very carefully because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And there'll be 2 votes probably today. One will be another Democrat-driven plan to extend this benefit by taxing small businesses and other people that have high net incomes. That was defeated last week, something like it was defeated last week, and the Republican plan will be like the Republican plan that was defeated last week. And I voted against both of them last week, and I'll vote against both of them this week. But maybe at the end of the day, this will be included in some bill that has so many good things in it that I decide that it's something I could be for, but I doubt it. I think this is a big mistake, and I hope we're already talking about, we had a 1-year Social Security contribution holiday. Now, if you don't continue the holiday, you're raising taxes. The one thing we know about the holiday is it didn't have any impact on the economy or unemployment, and why we would repeat it, I don't know, but I think the politics of this are probably on the side of the president, and unfortunately, politics will probably win this debate instead of common sense.
It's been announced that he had been planning on going to Hawaii, and then, of course, he caught some criticism, and Mitt Romney really came out hitting on him, saying, essentially, we've got this issue here. Why are you trekking off on vacation? And he's announced, I think the way it seems anyhow, that he's now going to stay. And I don't know, is he actually going to be involved in this any, or is it just appearance sake? I mean, what's the talk with all you, Republicans and Democrats? You guys kind of talk and hey, this president's doing this and that and how it looks. What is the overall sense there about this guy when it comes to this or the election and everything else amongst Democrats and Republicans?
I think the overall sense on both parties is that the president's not leading. He's going to competitive political states and giving essentially what are campaign speeches, and that's where he is. He was gone. He left the country when the super committee that if it could have worked, had the best chance in a long time to actually change these spending programs without the obstacles that you normally face. He was out of the country. I think he made a good decision to stay. Now he'd make even a better decision if he'd really get involved and try to help solve some of these problems between now and Christmas, or now and the end of the year. Whatever it takes is how long we ought to stay to get to good solutions. But I think the good solutions probably don't come until after the election. And this is a really important election, as you and I have talked about before. We're essentially going to decide, are we going to follow the president's path and become Western Europe, even though every day you can hear on the news and read in the paper the problems that happen when you let your government get bigger than your economy can support? Are we going to say, no, that's not who we want to be? The government can't do everything. It should do whatever it's supposed to do well and do everything it can to encourage an environment where opportunity will be there for others. It's as big a presidential election as we've had since 1980, and my guess is when it was Reagan and Carter, and my guess is it's the biggest election we're going to have for another 25 or 30 years, and it's going to have a lot to say about the future of America.
You've come out and you're a supporter of Mitt Romney, and there's been a surge from former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and there are a lot of his former colleagues that are saying, hey, he may be a great thinker and stuff, but he doesn't play well with others, and, you don't want this guy, you don't want this guy. And it seems like there's somewhat of a double-edged sword there, and you worked with him, because there's probably an instinct by those who have worked with him that feel that he wouldn't necessarily be good. But and I wonder if, and I'm just curious your thoughts about this, one of his biggest detriments is people seeing him as an insider and part of the Washington Beltway because he was there for so long. But at the same time, a lot of currently elected officials that people consider to be part of that are saying, oh, no, we don't like this guy. So I think some people see that as, well, gosh, maybe I do kind of like him after all, if the Washington insiders don't. What are your thoughts about all that and the perception and the way it's playing out?
Well, when I endorsed Romney and then I didn't endorse Romney until last September. So, I let this play out for a while before I decided where I was going to be. I think Romney can do the job, and I actually think in November he's the most likely Republican to be elected. I think he puts states in play that nobody else does, and I think he has a real chance to be the next president. But, I said at the time, I'm not opposed to anybody. I'm just for somebody.
Yeah.
I know him. I've known him a long time. He came in and did an event for me in the Senate campaign. What I think happens, if this is debate between Romney principally and Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney for the next month or so is that people are going to see a couple of really smart, accomplished Republicans talking about what the president should be doing and what the presidency can mean. I think that'll be a good thing for Republicans. Now they have very different backgrounds, and I think at some point the choice is, do you want the Romney largely private sector job creator background, or do you want the Newt background of historian and political leader and wartime chieftain when it came to take over the House for the first time in a long time, or not? And I think that's not a bad thing for conservatives or a bad thing for the Republican Party. So if it had to come down to two people, I'm not sure there are two better people for the image of our party compared to the growing image that the Democrats don't have a leader.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I saw that you and your wife attended that country music deal at the White House. Was that a good time? I watched it on PBS.
Well, it was pretty good, and they had a variety of entertainers. And James Taylor, I've seen a couple of times lately. I'd never met him before that evening, and the band Perry, a new country group that we like. I like country music. I think Branson, Missouri is the reason I was invited. The members that were there were largely from Tennessee and me, and I think I was invited because of Missouri. But the president is just not the kind of person that is easy for me to have any kind of a relationship with. Yeah. He's not like both Bush and Clinton. He's not somebody who immediately makes that kind of contact, but then when it comes time to get something done in the workplace, that you can get that done a little easier because you've got the ability to talk and communicate, and it may be there with others, but I think the biggest complaint about the president in Washington is that he just doesn't take the time to do the job the president needs to do to bring people together, as opposed to have his position, and if you're not on his side, you have to be wrong.
Senator Blunt, listen, I know you're busy. Appreciate you being here, and hope you have a good Christmas.
Nick, we look forward to being in Springfield over the holidays, and I appreciate what you do every day. As I said, I think this is really an important time. And you're one of the guys that's leading the debate about this decision about who we're going to be, and I respect that.
Well, safe travels, and again, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and we'll talk to you again soon.